Welcome to the Madroit Podcast. We bring you bite-sized marketing and sales insights to help you level up, no matter the size of your business. Tune in and answer the big question, what does marketing actually do?
Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Madroit Podcast. And today we're breaking down one of the most misunderstood and honestly most powerful parts of modern marketing. And that is, of course, algorithmic and feed-based marketing. So we're talking about the feeds that shape discovery, essentially, right? So Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, you name it, Google, it's what it takes to actually show up in a feed-first world. So let's start off by defining it, right? So feed-based marketing, content created specifically to play well with platform algorithms. So where the goal is to get discovered, essentially, right? So not just seen by your followers, but by the wider, broader audience that may be interested in what it is that you're promoting, that you're pushing, that you're showing. So when really kick us off here, how do algorithms really work?
Yeah, you need a PhD in algorithms to fully, just kidding. I think the crux of it is they work based on engagement and what's going to keep people on the platform the longest. So these are basically all social media platforms that we're talking about. And their main goal is to keep people on those websites, but working against that to have them do something typically. Not that we're trying to have them leave the social media website every time, but we want to create something that's engaging to create brand awareness for the companies we market for your company, right? So how they work is typically what gets the most engagement. You posting on your Facebook page is not going to go to every single one of your followers because you can pay for that, right? Facebook charges for things like that. So if you can reach 30% of your followers and then people outside of that by creating engaging content, that is the crux of how it works. To do that, like, what is the relevance to the users, the people on those websites, to them, whether it's keywords or content that they've engaged with in the past, if it's their friends commenting on something and tagging them in it.
Yes.
If it's fresh and not just recycled, old, generic posts like content. Video's typically pretty engaging, but if it's an old photo that everyone's seen a million times, or if it's just text-based content that doesn't really capture you, yeah, it's going to be hard to engage with everyone. So long story long, that's how the algorithm works.
That's how it works. Hope everybody had their pen and pencil out.
Yeah.
So some of the strategies to get that engagement up. So some things that win when it comes to algorithmic feeds, you covered some there. Just to expand upon those, here's what we've seen work and technically what we build into our client strategies. So hook-driven content, we want a strong grab. So we want to grab that attention in 1 to 2 seconds to make sure that they can stay engaged for longer than that.
If I could just add to that, to get them to even engage at all, right? To continue reading or starting the video or starting the scrolling image carousel. What's the hook?
Right. That's exactly what it's about. So I think then going in past that, native first formatting, so platform specific tools, Instagram Reels editing, for example, I think that's one thing right there that always needs to be considered. There's different platforms, different file formats that work best in each platform. So you need to make sure that you're using the appropriate format in each of those platforms. Educational or emotional content. Emotion and marketing, crazy, can't believe it. But it's still one of the most influential things that we see on a day-to-day basis. So teaching something quickly, DIY videos, always huge, or evoking a feeling, right? We talked many moons ago in a podcast episode about how Coca-Cola does just that every single year. Gets you in your feels around the holidays with similar ads that have been used for years and years, but we come to expect that now, and we already are engaged with it. CTA engagement prompts, always good to include, and always I think a crucial element of this. So which one did you pick, right? Tag someone who needs this. And people are more willing to do that now than maybe ever before because of the types of content that are out there and that are available. Like people are showing people how to do things, little hacks and little tips that weren't as easily accessible at your thumbs as they are now. So people are more apt to do that these days than ever before. And then AI powered ideation. So using ChatGPT to brainstorm different angles, different hooks, series. You can truly just have ChatGPT create any number of hooks or different content ideas to really just kind of jog your memory so that you can really be set up to create, if that's what you're really passionate about. End of the day, algorithmic feeds want content that feels native, that feels original, not salesy, and is going to spark interaction.
Yeah, those are good points. AI ideation, get your creative engine started. But part of this engagement, and this can be done by everyone, and it's a little bit manual, but it can make a big impact. And that's getting the ball rolling, getting some momentum with comments and things like that. So depending on what your goals are in these social media feeds, reaching out and messaging 10 people, 10 friends with the link to your post, whether it's LinkedIn or Facebook, and asking like, hey, could you help me out and comment something here if you want, no pressure. But to get a few and get the ball rolling encourages others to do the same, and it can have a dramatic effect. So just wanted to point that out. With these things are great, but getting the ball rolling and then engaging with it yourself makes a big difference as far as getting into more people's feeds and staying there longer.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I'm glad you hopped in with that, because we can't overstate that, how important it is to just get started, right? Like, and we know that there's a number of tools and workflows out there that can support some of this feed-based content. We're going to spare you guys and not get into all of the nitty-gritty because there are so many of them. We've already talked to ChatGPT or some of the other ones available out there in previous episodes. We've talked to you about some of the things that you can do, but here's some of the mistakes that we see commonly. We know a lot of businesses try to really game the algorithm and end up getting penalized instead. And that's obviously something that's going to harm your business, your reputation more than help. But we really need to watch out for things like clickbait. I think those are essentially hooks with no value. I can't overstate how bad that can make a business look when you're trying to do everything that you can for engagement, and in the end, all it's just going to be a sales pitch. That is a momentum killer for you when it comes to these social platforms, right?
Yeah, big time. Like, we don't work with any companies that are like BuzzFeed, like these really clickbaity things that are wormholes for people. Like, the companies we work with and probably people listening provide some sort of value, and you don't want to be compared to a BuzzFeed.
Exactly. We can say the same thing with doing things like reposting the exact same content across every single platform without tailoring it to that platform at all. We talked about how there's different, what's the word I'm looking for? We talked about how there's different ways to post content appropriately on different platforms. So if you're not doing that, you run the risk of looking like you don't know what you're doing. And that can be a very dangerous game, especially as you're trying to break into a new platform and engage with a new audience. We want to make sure that we're putting our best foot forward. Another one that cannot be overstated: ignoring direct messages or comments. The algorithm sees those engagement loops. And if you are not responding and you're not having those conversations online, it will find you and it will penalize you. So having a presence online is one thing. Being active online is another thing. And constantly linking out. So this is an interesting one, because if you're constantly linking out to other platforms or other websites instead of delivering value on platform, you're not doing what we just stated you should be doing. You're not keeping them online. You're not keeping them engaging with your content. You're sending them somewhere else, essentially. You want to keep them engaging with you as long as possible with clean hooks, with value add content that we can put in front of them to make sure that they don't just come back for that piece, but also additional content that you're going to put out in the future. So essentially, if people engage with your content, the algorithm rewards you. If they bounce, it buries you. So with that, can you give us a little bit of an action plan for feed-based marketing and how to win?
Yeah, I think a good action plan for, let's say, a business that hasn't done much with their marketing, hasn't done much on social media, but I'd say pick one platform. If you don't have a tool that can help you schedule and post across multiple platforms, but pick one, commit to a few pieces of content each week, like 3 to 5, simplify your process and maybe do them all at once, but start there and see how it's going after 30 days.
Yeah, totally. And I think the algorithm's job is obviously to surface relevant content for you. Your job is to make sure that your content deserves to be found.
Yeah.
And that right there is the key of exactly what we're talking about. It's not about hacking the system. There's no magic fairy dust that you can sprinkle to make your content relevant. It's about showing up consistently with content people actually want to see. And that's it.
That's all for this episode of the Madroit Podcast. Please make sure to like and subscribe. If you have any questions that you want us to talk about on the pod or want to get in touch with us, please visit madroitmarketing.com/podcast. Thanks for listening.